Hey, all, welcome back to another Lenormand reading. Today I want to look into the Lost Roanoke Colony. To this day, we don't know what happened to around 100 colonists. If you don't know the full story, please do take a look at what I have in the description down below. I've got a link to the Wikipedia article on this lost colony. But this was the early parts of the United States when white people were still moving into the country, moving into the what will be the United States. So I want to take a look at what happened with this with a 7 card or a 7 coin Lenormand spread. Today I am using Smart Ash Holders, Lenormand coins from Smart Ash Holders. I'll be sure to put a link down in the description below to send you over to those if you're interested in taking a look at them for yourself. So the Lost Roanoke Colony, this has been something that has fascinated me since I was a kid, right? Ever since I first learned about it in American history as, I'd say, like a 6th or 7th grader, it's fascinated me. It just has. Around 100 people have just vanished. How did that happen? Oh, and there is a word that got left behind. Croatoan, right? So today I want to use these Lenormand coins to help us get more into what happened, right? So I am getting a signal to stop shaking the bag. All right. Spirit, guide my hand. I think that's 7. If it isn't, we'll put one back. So which one do you want me to lay out first? Okay. I'm trying to get a sensation for the central theme. Let's do this. Central theme, let me put it into the line of the camera. The central theme has to do with something that is deeply valuable, right? So in this version of the Lenormand coins, there are, or I should say in another version of the Lenormand cards that I have, there are koi depicted in that version, and those aren't cheap fish, right? Fish has something to do with something that's deeply valuable to us. Could have something to do with finances too. Let's take a look at changes. There was a transition, a migration for something valuable. And you know, with these colonists, they had to find a way to survive somehow. That makes perfect sense that they would head off, they would migrate, so to speak, to go find. This could literally point to food. I said something valuable earlier. You know what's valuable is food. My goodness, right? So here we have the tree. This is about health. This is about establishing a place where people can grow, migrating to find a place where they can grow, where they can thrive, where they can eat well. Let's continue to build on this. Okay, that is 7. So we have all our 7 coins. I think it's interesting that the child pops up. Virginia Dare is a baby that gets talked about a lot with the Lost Roanoke Colony. But in this case, it really could point to a transition. This is completely new for these folks, right? They're heading off into a place where they don't know too terribly much about how to navigate this landscape, right? Child is landing on the House of the Clover, which talks about risks, which talks about opportunities. They've got new risks, they've got new opportunities here, is what popped up, right? They had a change. This was a tremendous journey for them. The stork lands on the house of the ship, which talks about distance. And you know what? That would again connect to having to travel, having to migrate in order to be able to find that valuable thing, survival. Fish, when you look at houses, it lands on the house of the house, which is about security, which is about family. Family was incredibly valuable to these folks, obviously, right? They're settling into new territory that is completely unfamiliar to them. It makes sense that they would hold on to stuff that was familiar to them. Anchor points to some solid news, or I should say, the anchor appears on the house of the writer, which has something to do with a really fast-moving situation. This could have something to do with news that was a big deal for them. News that allowed them to put down roots somewhere. So we come back to the tree. Anchor has stuff to do with coming to a solid place, anchoring a ship, quite literally. So they may have gotten news that, hey, you can establish yourself in a new place that's going to do well for you. It's significant that tree appears on the house of the tree. This is a big deal for them. You know what this suggests? When I see the tree on the house of the tree, in this case, this suggests to me that we can still see these these descendants, so to speak. We can still see these descendants around today. I could be completely wrong. This reading is allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I could be completely wrong, but it is possible. What I'm getting is that we can still see descendants around today from where those colonists went. So, tree has to do with being rooted. Wishes, hopes, and dreams has to do with the star. And then we have cross, burden. In this case, I would expect to see cross appear with something to do with these colonists who were very oriented in their faiths, right? But in this case, cross lands on the house of the snake, which is dangerous. The snake is dangerous. It symbolizes deception. I wonder if their doctrine, if sticking around their colony wasn't going to do some real harm to them, right? I wonder if there wasn't a debate about whether to leave or to stay, and that there were some folks who really, really wanted to stay and wait for help as opposed to moving on and finding their own way, finding their own kind of help, if you will. With the star, with wishes, hopes, and dreams, that lands on the house of the clouds, which has to do with not being able to see our way forward very clearly. What are we not able to see our way forward clearly on? Our wishes, our hopes, and dreams, and that would kind of work really well with the burden landing on the house, the doctrine, like, we're going to do this, and we will not be swayed, that landing on the house of the snake, that makes sense. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of deception around this. We are struggling. Now what is what I'm getting? And then we have the cross and the anchor mirroring each other. And in this case, that tells me that this was a really, really solid, powerful doctrine, something that a lot of folks in that colony sincerely believed, but they still had to make changes. New wishes, hopes, and dreams. when they made the move, they were able to acquire some new hopes and dreams. Maybe this is going to work out after all. Maybe not the way that we thought it would, but it looks like it's going to be okay. Something valuable on the house suggests to me that they did find what they needed. And again, tree on tree says to me that they were able to establish themselves well, at least to me, okay? And then we have the stork and the tree together, changes in how they establish themselves. Again, they thought that they were coming to the new world, for one thing, and they ended up having to have a radical change in plans for the better. For the better. They were able to establish themselves. I do feel like this was a happy ending for the Lost Roanoke Colony, even if we may never figure out what happened, right? Even if we never figure out what happened, I feel like there was a happy ending for these folks. Not what they expected, but a happy ending nonetheless. So, folks, that was a Lenormand reading, a 7-coin Lenormand reading on the Lost Roanoke Colony. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, please subscribe and learn to make videos with me, learn to read Lenormand cards with me. I hope you have a good one.